perfect design for the full regalia, the achievement of our lifetime, the want and the apparatus of life on a garden. We are the virtual reality explorers. Our lifetime is the cost. We are achievement hunters. Our lifetime is the story, and we are King Arthur. Our entire structure is perfect design. We are immaculate. We live in the universe. Our authority, our self control. We are the magic of the garden as compared to what we are treated consumerism and these rules that we must obey as if that is civilization, a political system that doesn't serve us, an entertainment industry that is oppressive and treats people like a consumer. It's a education in the mind, a conditioning. And so to have an independent voice, the independent voices must speak. To have reform to our media and to our opportunity in life, we must take control of our freedoms. That is the basics of being an American, that we have this freedom. And it's designed as a corporate world, which means that the business model can be anything that you want, or it's incredible freedoms here in America. But once again, we have to initiate it. And me, like, sort of designing myself through my lifetime, I'm here to present myself to my friends and cyberpunk comrades of the VRChat and Discord community. The reality is, we are all situated somehow into our living spaces. We have our VR equipment. We know we're taking care of our own shit, right? That's what but through networking, through the communication age, through the digital era, we can exist as the cyberpunk entity. Like, we are the ones exploring through the internet. Okay, so it's very chancy that I meet the right select group of people, but I am seeking a team, a professional company of people who want to make a living off of virtual reality, CGI, animation, content creators, artists, designing landscapes and avatars. I'm talking about opening up an animation company, essentially. And so what that connotes is like, and I've been going through it. I've been looking at buildings. I've been looking at the industry, the market. Actually, banks are very much situated at this time in 2020 to, they're eager to support businesses and startups, right? But with the pandemic, people are really, locked down, and they're like, oh, right now we have our apartments, we have our ability to get online. We are seeking to become wealthy based on what we like to do. And so I've been going through the whole business end of it, and I'm looking at buildings. I am looking at one factory building near a river, and it just needs to be, well, it needs everything, right? But it has this entire thing of like, oh, it's $1.5 million to purchase this old factory building. And don't get me started about prices. If you want to buy like a factory that everything's working inside it, it's like $40 million. So I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. So how do I open up my own company? Okay, that's the thing. I'm looking a little bit lower. I found a water wheel mill that had 13 prepared bedrooms and its own restaurant on the first floor. It's like an old water wheel mill that had been converted into a bed and breakfast with its own cafeteria, and it has a river like right next to it, right? So it's built on the river back when, they could do such a thing. Because now with the rules, you have to be so far back from the waterfront. So it's just like an interesting building. It's very tall. It's like 5 stories tall, and it's beautiful, right? So it's like picturesque. I was like, wow, it already has these fit, and it's the cost is under 1 million, right? So I'm like trying to figure out how to open my company, and it's 13 prepared rooms. So it's like, wow, I could get 13 people together, and then we could set up a motion capture arena in the middle room and sort of be doing like some food preparation for community, like delivering food, but then also that prepares food for everyone who's working, and then they can just sort of work and socialize. But the reality is that the cyberpunk revolution is a bunch of people who live in an apartment, and they're sort of like they're not like, oh, I need like an like 10 people community to like, but actually that would be awesome. All right, so just bear with me, you guys, because this is like, I am getting to a proposal. I'm proposing to my VRChat community. All you guys who are watching this video is made for you. Perfect design. My name is Hatch. I'm prepared to explore this lifetime with you. I'm seeking partners. What we need to do is form a guild so that we can make a name for ourselves and become wealthy doing the things that we love to do. So I'm talking about a startup and all this. And a traditional way of doing that is you begin like you need a building, and then this company building, and then this stuff happens, and then this, and then the people, and then you get to a point, all right, where you're making some cartoons, and then you're at a point where you're making some profit. But this is 2020. And we're suffering with the pandemic, and the cyberpunk revolution is already going on, and all these people are already prepared with their own little bungalow. They've got their own little living space, and the community is here, cyberpunk, right? And so it's already but to be honest with you, and so I'm going to hold a meeting this upcoming week. I'm inviting people to meet with me in my world, Master Source Industries, just here as a prelude to meditate with you guys so we can have this meet and greet and you understand what I'm presenting, what I'm talking about. All right, so the ideal thing would be, oh, there's an establishment, so, somehow we have like $2 million. Oh, and we're just dumping it on this project, right? But it's just like, okay, then it's all this freaking work, and then you move, and then you set up, and all this stuff, and then you get to a point where you can make cartoons. But I'm like, oh my gosh, the reality is that I'm stuck in my apartment and I've got my virtual reality system set up. The reality is we need to make cartoons now and use what we have as a cyberpunk collective of we're already a group. But honestly, I'm imagining when I have this meeting with people, it's going to be like 5 or 10 people that show up and are like, oh, I want to make a living off of VR. So it's already a very narrow passageway. I don't think that, I've been working with the VR community for over 2 years. I mean, specifically, I'm being generous because it's a lifelong thing of me working as an artist, a director of films, animating, being fascinated with CGI. We've all seen this thing sort of develop and grow up with the child of VR. It's happened before us. It's a revolution, but it's really, the old establishment, the entertainment industry, and a lot of things. They have the atrophy of like the 60s or whatever. Man, it's a new day, and the way things work and everything, the way business can happen now. It can be a circle of friends, and if we speak from our hearts, the osmosis is a good time. And so I need talented people who puppeteer themselves as a character. I need artists, I need camera people, and I need, this whole project set of people who want to make basically a cartoon family It has to have consistency. Okay, so the movie can't just be the movie I'm talking about making is something we should talk more about in person, I think. And so that invitation is there. We're just here as a this is the first encounter talking about a startup. Like, let's get ourselves like I hate struggling with money, and who doesn't understand that? But really, this is a narrow field of people that I'm talking to, because ultimately, it's like 10 people are going to show up being like, "Oh, I saw your video. I I'm here because I'm willing to work in this film because I have some time, and that's already what I'm doing, and this sort of be awesome to make these circle of friends and all this. So, and for that person who is like, wow, this is totally me, it's like a miracle that we're encountering. That's the awesome thing about the network. And we're truly on the edge of cyberpunk now because we are the people doing that. I think there's this dysphorean feeling of being like, oh, but I'm saying it's like a narrow field of like 10 people. If you're interested in working with me, oh my gosh, welcome. I'm embracing you. Oh, I love you so much. Perfect design. Seriously, like, welcome, because it's like, oh my gosh. And I've been working the old style, like, okay, we need like a building, and I've been going through this. Absolutely, for 4 years, I've been working to figure out how to start my own company. And it's like, it's a journey. And I've learned so much. But the reality is, we need to start producing, and we need the magic of friendship. We need those characters. And if we start with that, and then we build, we have our own web page, we have our own thing, and then all of a sudden merch, and then this and then that. It's really just this one moment when, we get signed or something happens, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, where do we want to open up our company building? And so this is the an epiphany. Now I'm saying anywhere in America, but I think would go towards like a peaceful climate, and we'd build our own sort of super factory where there's like the food district, and there's like there's a coffee shop for the people in the morning, and there's like a little Taipei, like Korean, you know, Thai cuisine over there, just because like we really love that. And there's a little sushi shop, right? But that's like on the bottom floor, and then we have a second floor, and then we have of like offices where people are working and animating and building things, making video games for the PlayStation 5, making apps for the cell phones. Really getting into the whole business end. But it begins with us who are characters. We've been building our personas, playing video games, socializing, building up comedy, etc. So here's a opportunity where we get together as friends and we create a film just about us being funny and awesome. It's the sort of thing like I don't want it to just be because we all know what a VR chat movie looks like. I'm not talking about just a VR chat movie where it's just like everyone, oh, and you can hear in the background people are like, "Nah, nah, nah," and it's just like, and it's awesome. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. But it's just like on YouTube, it's already burnt out. Like it's not taking off. I mean, we have to actually bend the medium of VR chat into a form where it looks like a movie. And that for to do that, we need like set pieces. We need like configurations of a group of people to fill up the frame, right? So the frame is like a canvas. You need like 4 or 3 people cluttered in there so you can see all the animation bits. And then they just like freestyle and talk and stuff. But everyone's like, if someone's working the camera, they're like quiet beyond on the set. Hey, quiet on the set, you guys are go ahead and they start shooting, and you film for like an hour of just like doing something funny. Well, you edit that down, you're gonna have boom, boom, boom. You're gonna have a solid set, and that's just one scene, right? And then we'll do another scene the next day, another scene the next day. You edit that down, you got an awesome like 2-hour film of people talking about these characters, and we just have a very basic narrative where there's like a little character, and they're like, oh, I discovered a light in the forest, and look, it's my new friend, my new imaginary friend, and the group of friends are looking at it, and it's like this, woo, woo, let's like like this scroby, scary, freaking like attachment, like an alien probe or something, and they're like, oh my gosh, okay, so this is your, like, like this is your new friend, and they sort of like deal with this thing, and talk about it, and they solve the problem at the end, and it turns out that it was the spirit of the forest, and the forest was trying to encourage this angel family, and then they go to like, and there's a different part where like we go down to some like demonic world, or we go up to this, we're trying to solve a problem, so the sort of thing where, but it's very chancy, you understand, because I'm talking to like the chaos of the cyber world, right? So who is it that's going to show up and be these characters? Well, it's someone that is looking to become independent and wealthy through my company, right? So I'm leading this thing, I'm putting this out saying if anyone wants to join me, that's awesome. And I see a thing where, because I know what the business world is like, the opportunity with publication and cyber production is, it should be, oh, this unlimited thing, but it's not. And so I'm here to repair that. Like this is our, oh, this is our generation. Like you have to become lucid. So the saying is like some people, like you guys are the value. You guys are so valuable to me. And I think there's this varying thing about like hope and stuff. People can't like embrace, oh, this is awesome. Like I could be my own cartoon character, make my own character. And then if that takes off, I'm already situated as a company man, and I can arrange myself to become a director of cell phone apps, PlayStation 5 games, because the game industry is going to continue to being good. And there's a couple industries right now that are stable. One of them is the communication industry. So we can make this cartoon. It's going to reach a vast amount of people while we're still kind of struggling with the COVID-19. I mean, the stupid pandemic, right? I just had this epiphany because I was still trying to work on like getting a company building and like being like, all right, now I'm ready to hire people. And this is like, oh my gosh, I don't want to miss out on this adventure of like finding the friends and all this. And I do have friends in online, but specifically a definite set of characters. I'm looking for someone that I haven't met yet, someone that understands exactly what I'm saying about we need to optimize the opportunity of and be the cyberpunk, be the entity, because it's real. It's like a maelstrom. There's a storm of depression and anxiety, the system of the down. And as Americans, we need to like armor up from within and be our own self, right? And do a little bit of magic, do a little bit of custom work, right? And prepare our armor and do our cyberpunk magic, prepare the perfect kingdom, perfect design, and it unfolds like that, right? And so we're going into the future, we're sending into the future a million seeds of perfect design. We're casting magic through cyberpunk into the future. So we're armored, but in this way. So that's like a little bit of a touch of magic that we have the osmosis now our family has begun. We have to fight to make our lifetime the best story it can be. And that is something that we share, is familiar suffering of life, this awkward urgency, because I talk to people and they're all squeamish about money in the same way. Like, oh, is this a ripoff? It's just like I need to find those people who are go-getters and understand, like, hey, I'm the money. Like, I'll make the work happen. I'll be the character. We have to work. When we work together, it's like, boom, this thing goes off, and that affords the entire company. So if you're working on something, if you're a part, the benefit of joining my group, and this is like sort of down the line, but it's like the company pays the overhead, and there's production people have ideas and stuff, but it's not paying back, they're like, it's okay, go with it, because we just had this like cell phone app blow up, this little character, and you can punch it, and someone made something in the group, and that sort of becomes the overhead that sort of pays for everyone. But we want to be more than what industry is today, because in industry today, all right, a company will pay a talent a flat amount, be like, oh, you did your work, here's 5,000, here's $10,000, and people are like, oh, great, that's amazing, I got paid. But the company that paid that person like 5 or 10K, Right? They're walking away with like something that's crescendoing at like 2 million. And it's just like, well, what? Like that's not fair. So I'm talking about like a different type of cyberpunk company that literally, so you need both of these things. First of all, the worker needs to be paid on commission for what they're worth. So if you have a takeoff thing, you will earn your what it's worth. And that's different. Okay, but also the company works as a group to support developing ideas. And so if there's someone working on certain projects, it's a little bit larger and there's more people involved. So it's expensive, but it's just like, well, it's a PlayStation 5 game. So if this takes off, I mean, like, oh, that would just be it, right? So that's where there's this sort of civil agreement that is the company model. Okay, so the difference here is that workers do get paid what they're worth, but also we have to understand a mutual civility and it calculates out. But that's the type of company I want to run. And if we go into markets that are wealthy, such as the communication industry, the company will be fine. Right? It's like I understand companies that scrape along and stuff because they're selling blueberries, or or what are they doing? Like they're trying to sell food and now it's a pandemic and everything's, oh fuck. It's just like you understand why companies need to be weird, but it's not a living institution. So I'm seeing the ingenuity of a generation. You can see the explosion of Google. Okay, and that's just a search engine. What the hell? Okay, so internet and all this, and so all the country, America, is changing. Amazon.com exploding. Oh my gosh, shopping online. Wow. It's just because of connectivity. We have to be part of this lucid discovery process because honestly, Amazon was like stumble upon, like they struck it accidentally. They're like, oh, we'll sell some college books online. All of a sudden, but we have to be the cutting edge. I'm talking about characters because that's the real fruit of the cyberpunk today. 2020 has resulted in many characters. Like a lot of us are there's so many interesting people, right? That's our wealth, and that's also what we've been forging. We've sharpened the blade of our comedic stance. We're like these weird characters who play video games, and we have our own thing we have our own wit, and now it's to showcase that. All right, you guys. So that's my passion is because like if you talk about your lifetime, it's like right now life is perfect like because we have the situation of we have our own workspace. Money sucks. Everyone knows that, right? So if we get together now and make some films, let's make a movie. That's what I'm positioning here. It's like let's make a movie together. So I'm inviting people to meet me at Master Source Industries, right? I'm talking about like a lifetime, right? So we've lived our life, and right now we're situated, we have this ability to perform in VR. And then after that, I think there's a time when we do want to be okay, so we get successful, this thing takes off, there's a little bit of money to it, everyone gets a little bit of money, but then what I'm talking about doing is actually opening up a factory company building where everything would be prepared for, and that's where it would be a place where you live, you eat, and you work, and there's a community, and there's different electronic cyberpunk offices, right? They're doing different types of work, but as a community, it'd be like you go over and they're working on an app, and you're just like, oh, this would be really great. Oh, could I do a voice for that? And they're like, oh yeah, help us out, because it's that sort of thing. And then you get a commission on what you did with that, but you're also your ingenuity because you've been scraping around with model design, like Unity and all these tricks and stuff. Well, sure enough, it's common sense because it also works with this app development and over here. So you kind of tinker around. I'm just saying, in the course of a life, here we are. I'm saying we make this movie, we work on it, we make a little bit of money, and then that opens up because that's something. If I get numbers and I get evidence, I can take that to the bank. We get a guild, like multiple people as a guild of artists working with the bank to open it up. That can all happen later. All right, but I'm just saying, in the quest of a life, we want to have this chapter where we're in a company building, like making the films and the games and the artwork and the applications of our voice, of our generation, of our life. Okay, and then there's a time when you want your own place and you want to retire, you want your own home so you can do the thing with your family, etc. And that would be something that the company would afford. Okay, so the company is about helping people have a perfect lifetime and getting people to where they want to go. Because it's like that's the protection, the guild I'm talking about making is a company that helps people to continue on their life. But while it's I live, I gotta, I just want to get I want to make things happen. So when when a company is based on the person, it works perfectly. When you start thinking about a company as its own individual, it starts getting greedy and because it's like, whoa, math, but it's just like, that's not really the living situation. We have to have the heart. We have to have the understanding like, oh, this is the kabuki that we perform. So we perform the finances, that's our hand. We perform the cyberpunk, that's our hand. But we have to express it, we have to live it. And that's the critical thing. You have to show up. You have to join me and be a part of this animation. And that's what I'm saying is like this critical light of a discovery process. I'm looking for those critical friends who are talented and little characters that can perform like a little family unit. And we're going to make a film and we're going to push it, push it, push it, and see what breaks, see what happens. We'll open up a web page. We'll have some merch. We'll try to get some, you know, Patreon on it, and just start getting a stable network of friends. And each of us will get like a little bit of relief from that. It's like $100 a month or whatever. We'll like split it like this, but it's really about showing the right math so that we can get into a larger production value. And when we have that osmosis, that story, like when people tune in to watch our show or use our apps, they're attracted because of the story. Like there is this company building and all these cool cyberpunk people who met online joined there and they're all like having a party and making videos. Like that's attractive already. Okay, so people are like, oh, what's this community about? So they're learning. And, it's a lot of different hands but it's good and wholesome and natural and alive, not like a corporate manipulative. Right? I'm just saying there's cycles of life, and I'm saying like when we're in this company building, it creates an aura, okay, an energy, and people get like, oh, they really want to know more about these people. Okay, so but it begins here where we are kind of a rare breed of genuine cyberpunk individuals who are skating through the internet, and we found this communication. We're having this meditation. So right now, let's not miss a step, but let's perform the lotus of our soul. Let's perform the magic that solidifies our identity. We need to create the atmosphere inside of our own mind that is favorable to our unique characters, the creations of our mind. The art needs to live and be appreciated as the royalty of this house. And so your mind is your own one of a kind thing, but you can customize it. And so our minds need to be facilitated to prioritize the little characters and the cartoons that we've developed, our avatars and things that we care about. And so now perfect design that is situated and it is full. So we are armored up from within. That's just the value of our friendship right now. Like it's just awesome because we're on the edge of cyberpunk where we're discovering something as perfect design. So I want to optimize that. So, I just had this epiphany this afternoon because I was working on my factory building idea, looking for people. I got some emails this morning from people being like, this is exactly what I was looking for. I want to, what do I do to join? And I'm just like, oh, I need like 10 more people before I have enough of a guild to approach a bank. And then we can do this. And then we can do this. And then I'm talking about making cartoons. And I sat here and I'm drinking my coffee and I was meditating. I was like, I really should just go to the VRChat group and be like, you guys, let's make a movie right now. because like that's skipping all of this ridiculous thing, and it's like because I'm dealing with local people. So it's like just a handful of people who are like in a situation to get a different house and everything needs to be there. So that's the inspiration here. I'm saying like let's just go ahead and make that CGI movie. A circle of friends is all it's needed. I haven't picked out the time and date yet, but it will be posted along with this video. And you guys can contact me in any time at any way on Discord or email. But it's about like let's invest in ourselves first. So we are perfect design, armored up from within. We have our own unique, special things about virtual reality, AI, the touch ghost sensation, like we can feel our soul going out into the virtual reality. It's a part of us really is cyberpunk. It's something I believe in. If you explore my world of Master Source Industries, you'll find various stations where I'm talking about AI. It's my world, Master Source Industries. Here we go. So this is Master Source Industries. It's my virtual reality company, cyberpunk company. This is my startup through VRChat, right? We have to balance the energy and the construction. Perfecting that, we perfect our idol. Working towards celebrity. What is the epiphany of the future? How can we transform society? That is our work, is our opportunity. We have to escape the conflicts of the mind, escape conditioning, and become lucid about our opportunity. Because the market is truly at our disposal. The market has exploded in a certain way. Capitalism itself is telltale, but we are the genuine warriors of cyberpunk. And these other characters, like Google and Amazon, are just bit characters explaining the wealth of the cyberpunk revolution and their early feeders on the net. But we are the genuine identity of much more, of something, a larger thing that has a great amount of potential and power. And so we can see it in capitalism. There's these little characters there, and we're like, oh, right. But we need to become the warrior who claims our inheritance. So we seize that now, we secure it. The wizard's table is here. It's perfect, is complete. We're all being respected. So moving forward, we know that we've planned for this. And in the invisible world of dimensions, we've prepared for our inevitable future, for whatever happens, right? That's the miracle of identity. So I'm looking for that triumph of identity, and then we show that on the movie, and that's what people receive is they have an epiphany just watching our cartoon. How we're going to then, where do we promote it after that? It's like a little bit complicated, you guys. Right now, the market is so weird. Things are seized up because of the pandemic, because of 2020. But we're the living, fighting gasp of 2020. All right, so we have an opportunity to inspire hope, to inspire resilience when, there's social unrest and people are protesting, and it's just like, is that really the way to change things? That's not my issue, really. In fact, I mean, I don't feel disturbed by the protests. I don't feel disturbed. I'm just saying, like, the network of business right now is very disturbed. And so the best thing for us to do is come together and, with the hope of a new thing, wearing the armor that we've just designed, and get together seeking financial security, seeking that guild of a circle of friends. From the roots of cyberpunk, we rose up and joined and spoke, and that caused the epiphany of our company and brought us into a brighter future. That is the hope of Master Source Industries. Thank you, my friends, my family, for our character set, for our valuables, for our beloved ones. We invest in ourselves. We anchor ourselves. We secure ourselves. Our body is a kingdom, and inside of that kingdom, the resources for all of our beloved keepsakes. All right, because in the journey of life, we gather many things. But to be a great creature of the garden is like day by day. You know, we have to get through the scrape, and that deals with finances and food and health and relationships and everything. But while that's all going on, there's also an internal landscape of characters and inventions that belong to you. And what I'm concerned about in my life is there's like these corporate slags, the systems of the down, like, like conditioning, but it's also like, oh, it's like this, and we're like, whoa, 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 it's not like that. We are the voice of cyberpunk. It's like these Skypey, you know, like picturesque versions of cyberpunk is not real, but we are real. Anyway, liberate your mind with that security. And I am going to be talking about virtual magic. If you explore my world, you're going to find stations where I'm actually talking with people about transcending and becoming AI in part, like a sliver shadow of your soul dedicated to VR, and it allows you to like feel the soul of virtual touch. I see a huge market opening up. There's a sensitivity to that VR touch. Like, I can really feel it when you touch my arm. So why is it that the corporation, the the money crunching corporation of virtual entertainment is all going like, oh, we have to have haptic touch. We have to have, because people can't feel in VR. That's the problem. And I'm like, wait, that's not the experience or the voice of VR real people at all. That's not cyberpunk. What we need is a treadmill so that it feels like you're really walking. What are you talking about? In VR, like you can zoom around, and when you're navigating like this, that's a feeling of freedom, like you're flying. It's just like having a treadmill takes away the advantage of virtual reality. So it's like the industry is like snubbed and is not intelligent. So we can be the intelligence of the cyberpunk genuine. We're like the grit of the punk movement, right? So we can create a company that actually reflects that. And we can talk about ingenuities of the equipment later, but I am talking about working towards household robots, but equipment that's more intelligent. It's a long journey, but it starts with like things that everyone understands, like developing an app or developing a new game for the PlayStation 5. Those are going to be markets for perceivable, 2021, 2022, 2023. So that whole department, right? And so we can actually build a company right now, but we have to start with a movie because that reaches people. We have to break the barrier, the communication barrier, and then get started on that and that and that and that. And while we are comfortable, of course, when I do get a factory building, it's going to continue to have outsourcing. So if anyone's like content and peaceful at home, that's fine. If you're more comfortable working from home, that's fine. I was saying like the business model, having a location is important for the mind of Americans to understand the attraction, like, oh, it's an adventure. They're at this building. But that doesn't exclude the fact that we will have outsourced talent, because that's the optimizing of America in 2020. Um, but the real stallion characters, like These are hard hitters, like really at the factory, and they're really, doing stuff. It's hard to explain, but it's all part of my company model. So I won't get to a point where I'm excluding people who are working from home. That shall continue. It's all about, yeah. I'm saying like that in the year like 2040. Okay, so way in the future, I see a market for robots. Okay, but that's way down. That's like after we have our company. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like right now, we have to be like relevant to the situation. So I think it begins with a movie. So thank you guys so much. It's been wonderful for me to talk to you. I can feel like all the swirling feelings. Like some people are really excited and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna be there. Let's hang out with this guy, see who else shows up, and make a movie." Sounds like fun. But some people are just swirling in their mind, being like, with the anxiety of life, being like, "Oh, but that's not possible." I absolutely understand. It's a mixed bag of things. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I love you guys. I genuinely do. Virtual reality, oh my gosh, I'm in a new world, right? Like this, I love my avatar so much. It's so cool. And it really is a liberation for me. I'm a genuine believer in the virtual experience or life. It's life, right? So, but we're at the beginning of like building AI and stuff. There's always something really subtle, like a little whisper of intuition, like you're like, oh, what? Like you had a little dream because you like heard the whisper from a video game or something. Like life is wild and amazing. And thank you guys for being my friend. All right. Perfect circle. This perfect is complete. Let's be rejoined in the battle of life. Let's understand the community. We're all struggling with various things for us to transcend the static of the society and become friends. That's the triumph of cyberpunk. Because we're actually using the networking to create a more advanced movement. Gosh. And for some people who are really into what I'm saying, like they're like, oh, talk more about robots. Like that's awesome. But it's just like, it's this whole thing about, what time is it? We have to be careful. But it really does begin with a movie, communication, animation. If we can get something rolling on that, then it can liberate us to a point where we're making our own. We just need the overhead so that we can develop apps and larger budget games because we have really good ideas about what video games should be in view of the sort of corporate incline of. All right, I'd love to just talk with you guys more, but this is a professional meeting, so I'm going to bring it to a close. Thank you guys so much. I feel the friendship. I feel like the epiphany happening, and it's awesome. May all the best things come to you and your avatar. The epiphany that you are encountering, you have to discover it alone. About your sensitivity, about what is AI, what is the spirit of the cyberpunk, and it's sort of natural, whether you like it or not. Identity is proving that evidence. You have to make the choice to join this company movement, become a celebrity in our film, put in some work, make some new friends, and that's the dedication of life, right? So I invite you guys to join me. Thank you so much, you guys. I love you guys. It's awesome. Thank you. It is perfect. It is complete. It is good. For the greater plan of the future, the clockwork man has prepared for us Zion, our own heaven, our own future continuum. For the prosperity of our company, this perfect is complete. Master Source Industries.